Hey there, everyone. I'm Errol Barnett at the CBS Broadcast Center in New York. So much to get to today. We appreciate you joining us. President Trump denies having an affair with Stormy Daniels, the pornographic actress, but he is no longer denying knowledge of a payment made to her years before he became president. The president's version of events began changing in a late-night television appearance by one of his newest legal advisors. Major Garrett is at the White House.
He didn't know the details of this until we knew the details of it, which is a couple weeks ago. Maybe not even a couple, maybe 10 days ago.
That was President Trump's new personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, describing what the president knew about a $130,000 payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels to gain her silence days before the election about an alleged affair with Mr. Trump. That payment was arranged by Mr. Trump's self-described fixer, Michael Cohen. The night before, also on Fox, Giuliani said Mr. Trump personally repaid Cohen for the deal.
Funneled through law firm, and the president repaid it.
Today, Cohen ignored reporters' questions.
Have a good day, guys.
Giuliani's revelation contradicts what the president said on Air Force One, April 5th.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth around engagement?
You have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
No, I don't know.
In a series of tweets this morning, the president struck a decidedly different tone, saying the non-disclosure agreement with Daniels was common for celebrities and was used to, quote, stop the false and extortionist accusations made by her about an affair. Michael Avenatti is the lawyer representing Daniels.
It's an outrage, frankly, that the President of the United States would stand on Air Force One on videotape and blatantly lie to the American people. The President and his advisors are making this up as they go along. They realize they are in a heap load of trouble.
Major Garrett joins us now from the White House. Major, there were allegations Thursday about a potential wiretap of Michael Cohen, President Trump's personal attorney. What was that all about?
Well, it was a report by another network, and CBS has learned through two separate federal officials that there were no wiretaps, there's no recordings, and there's no written transcript of any of Michael Cohen's phone conversations, which may have included those with the president. Now, we do know in a very general sense, investigators are monitoring some of Cohen's communications, which could include emails, but monitoring is about the data, the number, and the recipient, not the actual content. And there is a very big legal and procedural difference between the two.
Now, you briefly spoke with former Trump campaign advisor Michael Caputo, and he has some key insight because he was very recently questioned by the special counsel's investigators. What did he tell you about what he was asked and how he is reading their investigation at this stage?
Right. First of all, briefly, who is Michael Caputo? Was he a big senior heavyweight in any version of the Trump campaign, of which there were many, under lots of different managers? No, he was not. He was someone working on the communication side. He was a frequent advisor to those at the upper echelon. He sometimes talked to the president, but he was not a heavy hitter. But what is interesting about Michael Caputo is that earlier in his life and career, he spent a good deal of time in Russia. And therefore, because of his association with the Trump campaign, not that there's anything nefarious about that, but he's always been a figure of some curiosity. And finally, the Mueller investigative team got around to talking to Caputo. Well, here's some colorful language supplied by Caputo. He said sitting down with the Mueller investigators and having them question him for a considerable amount of time was like having a proctology exam performed by a doctor with very fat fingers. I don't think I really need to elaborate on that particular metaphor. He said the experience was intense, and the investigators were, he described, intimidating and mean. He also said that it was his belief at the end of this investigatory session with the Mueller team that it knows, and these are Caputo's words, more about the Trump campaign and how it worked than anyone who actually worked on that campaign.
Interesting stuff. And he is making this clear at a time that Rudy Giuliani has really taken it upon himself to be President Trump's #1 defender. He, of course, is now part of the president's legal team. You spoke with him as well. So what were some of your key takeaways from that conversation?
Well, let's talk about issue number one. Will there be an interview between the president and Robert Mueller and his team? Giuliani said in a general sense he is still open to that, but is increasingly concerned about not only the direction of this investigation, but the tactics behind it. He described the way that investigators, for example, have been dealing with Michael Cohen, the president's self-described fixer, raiding his residence, apartment, and business, and then this monitoring of him as heavy-handed. He called it actions undertaken by baby stormtroopers or thugs. He also said that because of these factors, he's less inclined to have the president sit down for an interview. He's going to try to negotiate something that is narrowly focused and short in duration, but is not optimistic about that. He also said he wants the Justice Department, whether or not there's an interview or not, to shut down the entire investigation. He said to me they don't have, meaning Mueller's investigators, not one scintilla of evidence of collusion between President Trump and the Russians to influence or affect the election. And for that reason, he believes this is, to his words, a ridiculous investigation. What's interesting about Giuliani, he is making himself repetitively available to almost any media outlet that seeks to have him either on the phone or on television. And this exposure last night created not only a sensational set of news stories, but a real and present problem for the legal team as it's trying to deal with all of these various questions, Stormy Daniels and the like. And in so doing, took the White House by surprise, took other members of the legal team by surprise. I'm not sure I would describe Rudy Giuliani as a complete freelance actor because he speaks with the president frequently and has his permission to do as he is doing. But that may be a conversation that has yet to be shared and fully appreciated by others on the legal team.
Right, a legal team which itself has shuffled members in the past week. Major Garrett joining us from the White House. Thank you very much.
Sure.